Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 2 of the Bedstone series here on Blacksmith Gaming. Today we're going to be going over Redstone repeaters, their different functionalities, and ways you can use them within your builds. So, let's get into it. Fly past what we did in the last episode with redstone lines and simple activation methods. Here is a redstone repeater, just by itself. A redstone repeater has 4 states. When you first place it down, this is the default state. It also has 2, 3, and 4 different states. So the main function of a redstone repeater is to repeat. In the last episode, we learned that a redstone line of just redstone dust can only transmit 15 blocks before the power ends. So, even though line is powered, the power ends right here because this is 16 blocks before the redstone lamp. However, if we were to place a redstone repeater on the next block, we can still get an output. So whenever a redstone repeater receives a signal, doesn't matter how weak the signal is, it will repeat it at full strength. So a redstone repeater that is powered will transmit a signal strength of 15, allowing us to again go another 15 blocks where we can place another repeater and so on. You can make a redstone line as long as you wanted to just by adding repeaters. So the only trade-off with redstone repeaters is that they add delay to a circuit. So even if you just put one down, that adds 1 tick of delay. In Minecraft, a tick is basically a section of time. There's 8 ticks to every 1 second in Minecraft, and it's just how the game doesn't operate using seconds, it operates using ticks. So here's where we can show that. This repeater is set to 4 ticks. And the way we do that is we start placing it down. We get 1, then 2, 3, and 4. So since this repeater is set to 4 ticks, 4 ticks out of 8 ticks means that we get a half a second delay. So this redstone lamp should turn on half a second exactly after this redstone lamp. And then when we unpower it, the redstone repeater will take slightly longer to unpower than the redstone line, which is essentially it goes on or off in 0 ticks. So this light will turn off first, then half a second later, this light will turn off. Another way we can show this is by using this that I've set up right here. So ignore the fact that the redstone is in a net formation. That doesn't add any delay. Every single piece of redstone dust is powered with 0 tick delay. So the only thing influencing the delay of these lights turning on is the repeaters. So this line has no repeaters, so we have 0 ticks. This line has 1 repeater set to 1 tick, so this is 1 tick delay. We've clicked on this once, so this redstone line will get 2 ticks of delay, 3 ticks of delay, and 4 ticks of delay. So this light will still turn on half a second before this light because we've got 0 tick and 4 tick, half a second difference. But these will turn on sequentially. So first this light will light up, then this, then this, then this, and then finally the last one. So when we flick the lever, we can see them turn on and off at slightly different times. Moving on from the delay, let's continue on to the functionality. So you could, in theory, just use redstone repeaters like you do redstone dust. They would work in a perfect line, and it would never lose signal strength because every repeater repeats it at full signal strength. However, without using dust or blocks, redstone repeaters can't turn a corner. Nothing happens. So the only way we can turn a corner is by either placing a bit of redstone dust down, or by placing a block down, like here. So the way this works is the redstone repeater is pushing the power into this block. So this block is powered, and this redstone repeater is pulling that signal out and continuing it forward. If we were to try this using just redstone dust, as you can see, this block does become powered, indicated by the redstone lamp above it, but redstone dust couldn't pull that signal out. However, if we add a redstone repeater powering that block, redstone dust can pull that signal out. And just the same, if we were to power that block using just redstone dust, you can still pull a signal out using a repeater. So whenever you're powering a block, it's good practice to either power the block using a repeater or to carry on the signal by pulling out the power using a repeater. In the last episode, we learned that we can transmit redstone signal going upwards as long as we see the graphic of the redstone dust traveling up the vertical face of the block, like we have here. But as you can see, there's no redstone dust running up the vertical face, yet the light still turns on. And this works because the repeater is powering the block. Redstone dust could take a signal from below, so the block is powered, it's transmitted to this piece of redstone dust, which is then carried upwards. If you were to, say, use repeaters to do this, though, you would not get the same result. And the reason for that is a repeater can only be powered from behind. If you tried to power it from the side or the front, it won't do anything. It won't carry the signal. It has to be powered from behind. Not above, not below, only behind. So, although this block is powered, redstone repeater above it can't carry that signal. So the only way we can do that is by replacing this with a piece of redstone dust, since redstone can take a signal from below. And just the same, if we tried to send the signal downward using repeaters, we can see it doesn't work. There's no redstone dust running up the vertical face here, sort of indicating that the lamp won't turn on. One way we can get around this is by using the fact that redstone dust can be powered from above. So when I flick this lever, the block is powered, powering the redstone dust below it. Even though it looks like there's air, you can just kind of imagine that redstone dust is a full block by itself. So if we were to power a block using a repeater from above, we could then transmit that signal downward by placing redstone dust below it. So the way we could turn this lamp on is to just simply add a block right here, which would then carry the signal, transmit it down to the dust, and powering the lamp. So that's one way that we can send the signal downward using repeaters. Alright, lastly I wanted to cover something that's interesting but not super useful. I have done a lot of contraptions over the last year, and so far this hasn't been useful to me. So as we can see right here, the lever powers the block, redstone repeater pulls that signal out, and powers the component. Just as it should. But if we power that repeater using another repeater going into the side, it locks that repeater. So you can see this sort of bedrock texture that covers one of the pegs. That means that that repeater is locked. So if we flick the lever, it no longer turns the lamp on and off. But if we unlock that repeater, it can carry the signal. We could also have this repeater in an on state and lock it in an on state. So even if I flick the lever, the lamp won't turn off. Even if I remove the block entirely, this is locked to be always powered on. So I haven't found any use for this personally, but maybe you will. And it's a good thing to know, even if it's not the most applicable. I'm sure there's people out there that use this all the time and think I'm an idiot for not using it, but you can achieve the same thing using other methods. So I personally just don't use it. But it is important to note, however, that if you use redstone dust or any other method of powering, any other simple activation method, it won't lock the repeater. Only a repeater running into the side of a repeater can lock it. Alright, I wanted to try something a little new and unique this episode, where I'm doing sort of a pop quiz. So what I'm going to do is show you two redstone lines, and I want you to try and guess what's going to happen. So, in this example, we have one repeater and some redstone dust, one repeater and some redstone dust. What will happen when I flick the lever? Will one light turn on before the other? Will they both turn on at the exact same time? Will neither turn on at all? Take your best guess. So if you guessed that the light on the left would light up first, you'd be correct. And the reason is this repeater is in its default state, so it has one tick of delay, and this repeater has two ticks of delay. So this block is going to turn on twice as fast as this block. And that's the result. In the next example, here's our left line. And here's our right line. See if you can figure out what's going to happen when I flick the lever. On we go. If you guessed that both lights would turn on at the exact same time, congrats. So the reason for this is that although we have 2 repeaters on this side and 1 repeater on this side, these two are only set to 2 tick delay, whereas this one is set to 4. So although we have more repeaters, they both of the circuits have the exact same amount of delay, 4 and 4. So the result is both lamps turning on at the same time. The next one is more of a logic puzzle. So just to get an understanding of how well you understood this episode. Here's the left line. And here's the right line. What will happen when I flick the lever? Both lights turn on. One light turns on. One turns on before the other. Take your best guess. And here's the result. So if you guessed that the circuit on the right would power, but the circuit on the left wouldn't, you'd be correct. And I'll explain why. So this repeater is transmitting the signal into this block. This block is powered. But unfortunately, a block can't power a block. Otherwise, we could just, completely get rid of redstone dust and just send a signal through an entire line of blocks. So the way we would fix this line is to just add a piece of redstone dust on top of the block. This would mean redstone repeater is powering the block is powering the redstone dust, which carries forward to the lamp. But without having anything there, this isn't going to turn on. Whereas this side, the repeater is powering a block, which we know redstone dust can take that signal out as long as there's a repeater powering the block beforehand. If this was dust, it wouldn't work. But since it's a repeater powering a block, we can take that signal out using dust, and then the dust powers this block connected to the lamp, turning it on. Alright, so lastly in this video, I wanted to show off a couple of things that you could do just using repeaters. So just the stuff we've learned in the last 2 episodes, you could create cool lighting sources like this. As you can see, it turns on and off sequentially, like before, and that's just determined by how we lay out the repeaters. As you can see, I went for sort of a spiral shape here. So all of these repeaters are just in their default state, which means there's 1 tick of delay between each lamp turning on. This one has 0 repeaters, so it's 0 tick, 1 tick, 2 tick, 3 tick, and so on. So next I wanted to show the same sort of idea, but using note blocks. If you aren't aware, a note block is another redstone component where, when you power it, it produces a note. It produces a sound depending on what block it's on top of, and you can tune it to be different notes just by clicking on it. So, using this, I decided to make a little contraption here. Just wanted to make a nice little scale. As you can see, the note blocks are placed on gold, which results in sort of a chimey kind of sound. If you look on the Minecraft wiki, you can see all the different noises you can make depending on what block the note block is placed on. So again, just repeaters in between each one, and the reason I used repeaters was because if all of these powered at the exact same time, it would just sound like a chord. All of the notes would play at the same time. So since we want to have some separation between the notes, we use repeaters to get that distinction between one note to another. If you have a really good eye, you might have noticed that all of these repeaters are set to 2 tick delay, except the first repeater, which is set to 3. This is an interesting quirk of Bedrock. I'm not sure if it's the same on Java Edition, but I know for sure it is on Bedrock because I've struggled with this making some songs in the past. When you initially power a block and you transmit it to the next note block, for some reason, you want to add 1 extra tick of delay. So if I turn this to 2 tick delay, just like all the other repeaters, for some reason the delay between this note and this note is shorter than the delay between, say, this note and this note, or this note and this note. So just listen. You hear how the distance between the notes is shorter here for some reason. So to combat that, we just add 1 extra tick of delay to create the same space between notes as all the other notes. But, however, if you were to make this into a loop just by adding another repeater here, for some strange reason, then it would have more space in between on the second playthrough. So the first playthrough, it would have the right spacing, but as soon as it loops back, there would be an extra tick of delay between these two notes than there is between the rest of them. So let's listen to that. It's a really strange mechanic, but it's just something that is. So if you're planning on just having a tune play from one button press or one flick of the lever, and it's only going to play once and not loop, then make sure to add an extra tick of delay between your first and second note. But if it's going to be a loop, just go for the same delay as all the rest. The first playthrough is going to sound a little weird, but the subsequent playthroughs will be normal. Alright, lastly, I just wanted to make a little tune. I've been learning this on piano for the past few days, and it's a Minecraft song, I'll tell you that much, but I want you to see if you can guess it, if you know it by name, and put your answer in the comments, and if you get it right, I'll try and pin your comment. Just a little fun game. But as you can see, we have repeaters running in between all the notes, and they're placed on slime so they make piano keyboard kind of sound. So take a listen. Pretty neat, hey? So just using repeaters in one component, we can make songs, we can make music, and it's super fun. I honestly, every time I hear that tune, it takes me right back to like 2013 in an Xbox Live party with my friends, just dying over and over to skeletons. But I don't know, there's something just so inherently beautiful about the music that C418 created for Minecraft, and this one personally is just my absolute favorite. So I hope that you guys learned something in this episode. I hope that you can apply it to your builds going forward. And although it's not getting super intricate, super detailed yet until, of course, that song, but it was just in actual notes, not the redstone behind it. Although it's not getting too super intricate and complex yet, we'll build up to it. And these mechanics we will use forever going forward. So make sure you're comfortable with them. Go into a testing world, mess around, play around with repeaters, blocks, and unpowering things. See how redstone dust interacts with a repeater. See what you can make and have some fun. At any rate, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining me today on Blacksmith Gaming. I've been Kobe, and I look forward to the next episode. Cheers.